gives our viewers nightmares, shall we?
Yes.
Hopefully, you've all been having nightmares for the last several weeks from which to draw from. I know I have. So let's just start off with like maybe a vision or like just some like a touchstone that anybody has in mind for. Oh, Evelyn's already excited.
I
She's
had
off to the
one.
champing at the bit. Tell us.
This is an apocalypse I've never really seen played out. But like overgrowth of plant apocalypse, like the world taken back with plants. That was one I was thinking about.
And so in this overgrown, first of all, how do are people scared of plants, or is that too gentle?
No, I feel like
Or
maybe some of them, like because they've had the ability to grow more than ever in these like different places with like pollution, some might be sentient. I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting. That actually sounds like the idea of the the maelstrom being like maybe somehow embodied in like plant life.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I like that.
yeah.
That's creepy.
Maybe something to do with like spores or something.
Ooh.
Like yeah. I mean, as a person who occasionally suffers from some foot fungus, I can tell you that it's scary as hell. So I will definitely second that as a scary apocalypse. Also, like, I don't know if you guys ever watched the show Survivor Man, but one of the most uncomfortable episodes I've watched of him is when he does the jungle one. And when he's in the jungle, he literally, first of all, he can't sleep because he's like on the ground and he's just like covered in bugs, like all crawling all over him and everything. And then at some point, like a panther or something starts hunting him, and he has to like run to like a nearby village to be saved of foot
Oh my
fungus.
god.
Survivor Man is so big.
And I'm not even joking about the foot fungus. He literally develops some like insane levels of foot fungus in the jungle. So that's a real threat. That's a real threat. Okay. How do we all feel about that? How do we feel about an overgrown apocalypse?
I like it.
Cool. Great. So now is this the like overgrown like a jungle, or is this something different? Is this like a new kind of overgrown that we haven't seen before?
I feel like it would take over urban spaces. That's why there would be like a lot of people living there. I don't know like the exact kind of like fauna involved. Flora, sorry.
It's all potentially around. Yeah. So like do we want this to be like a city, or do we want this to be like the suburbs, or do we want this to be like out somewhere out in the boonies?
I think it might be really interesting to play in a city that's like totally taken over by like vines and plants and stuff like that.
Right. So it's like
it might be.
So it's like
Yeah.
it's almost like we're in the middle of a very dense jungle, but there's these random like doors that you can go into, and then all of a sudden you're in like the Hilton Hotel or something, or mall.
Yeah.
And you're just like this weird juxtaposition of.
Yeah. So an overgrown urban setting. Now, so what would be the scarcity? Like, what do we see as like the thing that people are struggling in the apocalypse with?
I would say maybe like safety, and I know it's general, but like if there are like bugs that have evolved because there's more plant life, and there are more animals who moved into this like metropolitan area.
Yeah, just security.
So the danger is the jungle. The danger is that like we like going out into the fauna and flora is what is and it's always creeping in. Is that the idea? And
yeah.
So is the what's what I'm looking for here? The thing that the scarcity is just like safety from the flora and fauna. You know,
ever-growing
like, creeping in. The vines are creeping in, the plants are creeping in, and is the idea that like, so let's talk about this some more. Is this just like wild plants and fauna, like all different kinds, or is this just like there's this one choking weed that took over the whole world?
We love that. That's very Veggie Tales.
Yeah.
Veggie Tales.
That's something that happens in Veggie Tales.
What? Aren't they vegetables?
It's like the envy weed or something like that.
The
Oh,
giant
it's a
fig.
metaphor.
The giant
Yeah,
fig.
it's some lesson.
Yeah.
Of course.
I'm not sure if this is copyright appropriate, y'all. Uh, but hopefully it
Fruit
is.
fables.
We're
We're
learning
infrin-
first Twitch stream.
There's no
Um,
God in our world, and there is
Right.
God in VeggieTales, so I think that's
Okay,
good.
so
Right,
we've
right.
distinguished it enough that it's
That's
a
the
different
30% difference.
Yeah. Okay.
The
so,
lack of God.
so how do we like? So is the idea then that there's this one like really dangerous thing, and maybe there's other kinds of like flora, but
Mhm.
that this flora is like slowly choking it all out. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Like
what
this, like
people-
this one specific thing is choking out all the other flora.
Yeah. So the idea I'm having is
I
like
like that.
maybe this like I don't know, maybe it could have been like maybe we don't know this, your players wouldn't know this, but maybe they would. Maybe it could be something like Monsanto crossbred some like corn thing that crossbred with something else, and then this like corn just like grew like crazily and just started choking out absolutely every other plant, right?
Mhm.
And since like it spreads in seeds, it just like got in people's shoes, they got on a plane, they crossed to the other Atlantic, and now
Yeah.
suddenly it started growing there. And all of this these plants grow so quickly that they just choke out all the life of everything else. And they can grow anywhere. Like a little seed flies on top of a building, it lands
Right.
in the dirt and it just grows, right?
Mm.
And it's
the
like
idea-
probably like toxic or poisonous or something, so it like affects water sources even, maybe, I don't know. Like it's just you don't want it there.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what is it? What is it that like why is this thing bad? What does it do?
Maybe something to do with its pollen. Like it like the fungus that can get into ants' brains and then
Oh,
it
yeah.
brainwashes them and makes them like get
the
eaten.
cordyceps or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, that sounds fucking
Cordyceps,
cool.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's do
So
that.
you're saying that like maybe there's like a season or a time or like a time of day or something where like they all release
Mm.
and you have to like fucking find a place to hide or something.
You gotta get to
That's
Just if you
shelter.
breathe
And
that
then-
in, then
and
some
then-
crazy shit happens.
And then if you inhale it, then you're instead of like
It grows.
going and making yourself it grows out of you and you're just like you just lay down in like a big patch of it and just let it eat you.
Okay, wait. So that you're setting this up to be hella dangerous, right? Like you're setting this up right now that like if you're caught outside, then it sounds like instantaneous death, right? Or does something happen in degrees? Is it
I
like
think there's like maybe phases of it. Like you start to see like the sprouts, and then maybe they start to like flower, and then the flowers fall off, and then that's when like the seeding begins.
Mm.
right? But I'm saying what happens in the phases of you getting infected?
Oh.
Oh, the different stages of infection.
Like
Oh,
is
I
it like kind of like a zombie infection where like it's not obvious right away and then
Yeah.
you like maybe go into the safe place?
Oh yeah,
and
like
you bring- and you
hysteria
bring it.
or like weird shit.
Yeah,
in
and
your
then like
mind and
you
so-
like cry and maybe spores come out of your tears or something,
Oh.
and then they start like planting inside or like in a safe space,
Yeah.
or
sounds
like
so sick.
I'm spitballing here.
Or-
What do you guys think? Because that would be a cool way to have like that classic zombie tension where it's like, okay, this person's infected or whatever.
They're
What do we do with them?
spored.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like
Mm.
maybe there's a way to cure someone as long as they're
Caught
like
soon enough.
not past a certain point,
Mm.
but it's like gnarly in some way, like you have to gouge out their eyeballs or like
Oh.
I feel like we could
Oh.
jump around within this idea. You
What
got
if
a
it-
good one?
What if it like implants in your sinuses and that's where it really does what it's supposed to do? And so people who the way to cure it is like they literally have to like take out a chunk of your face. And so there's these people with like giant chunks of their face
Cavity
missing
face?
because they just had to like amputate all of it and like get rid of all of their
People with just like cavities. Like,
Yes, yeah.
all, like,
And that would probably
yeah.
make
That's
you more
so
immune.
gnarly.
Like if you have less sinuses, then like it sucks to get infected, but as long as you get it, at least you kind of have less of a chance.
That's ugly, man. I like
So
it.
it sounds like having a gas mask in this world is like
It's important.
yeah.
is like
Love it.
I wonder how many of those are kicking around. You know what I mean? Because like it sounds like this apocalypse would have happened in like stages, right?
Yeah.
And so like people would have like, it sounds like okay that this is happening, and then people would start realizing, and the world would like start producing gas masks, and maybe there would be a lot, but then like people would be dying, and then maybe there would be gas mask shortages as a result of that, and then like it might become like a really sought after. So what do we think in terms of gas masks or like respirators or whatever? Is this something that's like very available, or is this something
Would
that's
it have to be a gas mask per se for us?
like it has to
Like
cover
a
your
cloth?
nose? Well, here's the thing, right? Is like, are your sinuses connected to your like tear ducts at all or not? Like, I don't know my
Yes,
biology
yeah,
well
like
enough.
that's like you could get COVID, if someone did sneeze into your eye. So I wonder if like similar coverings and like ideologies on covering faces would be
Mm.
relevant to that.
I like the
Right?
idea that maybe you get like a mask. It's like a rite of passage. You get like your one mask that you're supposed to have forever.
Gotta
Yeah,
take
maybe
care of that,
maybe
man.
maybe you're like people of certain ages are not allowed, like they're just like at home, and you learn like all of these like strategies and techniques and whatever when you go
Mm-hmm.
outside to like protect yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like your mask and like your rituals around your mask and how you make sure it's on your face and it's tightened and all of the things that go around of protecting your mask is like extremely important, because the moment you can get infected, you can kill the whole, right? Like you kill the whole space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'm into that. So it sounds like, okay, so it sounds like maybe the people who go outside are like, maybe I don't know if it's all, well, we can talk about that. I feel like it would be interesting for it to be all adults, but it would also be interesting to be like some subgroup of people, right? The nice thing about being at all adults is that like it just means that there could be more like different groups in the outside world that can fight. Like the more people are in the outside world, the more that gives me space to create tensions and infighting and whatever. Whereas like the less outside groups there are, the more that there might be distrust between outside groups and inside groups, and that could be interesting as well. Also, I wonder how many different communities there are. If there's like one community or if there's many different communities. What do you guys think?
I also wonder about time of day. Like at night, plants kind of go to sleep. So I wonder if nighttime maybe it's a free for all, but it's also more dangerous because you're in this like overgrown jungle thing. But in daytime, only certain people can go out. I don't know. That was just
Right. Yeah. So let's talk about that. It's interesting. So part of like the day-night cycle is there's this dramatic change in temperature, and
Mhm.
very often since the sun powers wind and things like that. Yeah. So what you're talking about, I think, is called heliotropism. It's like when plants like change with the sun, like they turn towards the
Yeah.
sun and they open and close,
Mm.
and maybe there's something to do with like the spores. Like
Mhm.
maybe the spores don't sit in the air like all the time. Like maybe they're only like they fall to the ground, but the plants are just constantly releasing them. But in the night they like close up or something, and there's just less spores or no spores. What do we think? The thing about that though is it just means that in the night you might not have to wear your masks. Do we want that, or do we want to like do we want masks for the outside all the time?
I kind of like night being like better for maybe better to walk around without spores, but yeah, way more dangerous in different areas, kind of for different reasons.
Ooh, that's
I
so
like
interesting,
that. Yeah.
right?
Oh.
Yeah, it's like the spores stop being dangerous, but like maybe something there's like because of this one plant that got so powerful, whatever feeds on that plant is also now has to be like hella powerful, right?
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like maybe like
Like
swarms of locusts, like
Ah,
some Moses
Like,
shit,
yeah,
or like
I think it
what
has
would
to be
it
a lot of bugs too, because that would
Yeah.
be
Yeah, I feel like
that's
it's
what
bugs
that's what would be
heavy.
thriving in an environment like that would be. I think at least the insects would have a run of it.
mosquitoes
Right.
are more dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like if there's a bunch of bugs, there might be a bunch of bats. You guys practice that, eh? I have a feeling
We
about
love
it. 3, 2.
That'd be so cool.
Uh,
Like human-sized bats.
Or like, yeah, I mean, we could. It's the fucking apocalypse, right? So like,
Yeah. I like it.
I mean, so okay, so like, let's not be firm about this, because this whole point is about exploration, right? So
Right.
let's play around here, okay? So is the idea that in the day the main problem is that these things are constantly creating spores.
Mhm.
And if you want to go in the day, you need to have a gas mask because it'll implant itself in your sinuses. And we still have to figure out like what are the stages of
Right.
this sinus
Yeah.
infection, because that's like something that everyone knows.
Mhm.
And then in the night, they stop closing spores, so you can go outside. It's probably still a good idea to have masks because I feel like if you kick up some dust, you could still like get it, but
Mhm.
it's not like as super dangerous in the night. And then there's probably like what we were saying that something comes out in the night, right? We
Mhm.
also are saying that maybe there's bugs around. What do we have any ideas about this? Like, what do you guys? How do you guys feel about this?
Cats.
Oh,
Some form
Like-
of feline
yeah,
Panthers or
like
jaguars.
cats and dog, like wild, like old pets.
predators. hunt
that-
Old pets.
Old pets that developed.
Okay, so wait. Why aren't the pets getting this thing, right? Because it sounds like it just chooses sinuses and grows in them.
They have different respiratory tracts.
So they
Cats
just have
have very
Maybe-
similar eyes, but like completely different. Like it's like you get a cold and your cat doesn't get a cold. Cats don't have seasonal allergies.
Maybe
or maybe
Science.
they
Was it,
can
like,
smell it better.
created
somehow.
for humans, maybe by like someone.
okay. Well, we can go back to that idea because someone was saying earlier about like how the way that what happens is there's some kind of like infectious thing that takes over people's brains or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if these animals or whatever were like taking over animals or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, taken over by like the,
the
cordyceps
thrall.
being
I like
like
it.
Yeah, they're like, but are they are
thrall
oh
of the
okay, so this
plants.
is where the maelstrom comes in. Are these like maelstrom animals, or are they like half animal, half maelstrom, or are like by day are they normal animals and by night they're maelstrom animals, or like
Oh.
are they not
Ooh,
connected to maelstrom at all?
Do these spores connect you to the maelstrom?
We haven't decided. We're in the
inhale a bunch of
that out.
spores and become god.
I feel like if you were to get these spores in you,
Hot.
I feel like I feel like then you would be full, like it would take you over. You know what like I don't know how it would be like I don't think that they would go back to normal during a certain time of day. I think if they like if the seed is planted, then they're kind of
Well,
like,
we were saying that the corn, right, or whatever it is, because we haven't decided what it is. Then in the night it goes like it saves energy or something in the
Mhm.
night, right? It closes up. So maybe that
Oh,
like reduces the connection. Like if it is indeed the case, and it doesn't have to be, but if it is indeed that the maelstrom somehow communicates through this plant, then like maybe the night connection is severed, and like these animals are free to roam and they're like wild, and maybe during the day they're like somewhere and we don't know, and maybe it's a
Yeah.
mystery where all these
Or
animals
something
are.
like-
do these animals also like consume the spores maybe? Because if plants are releasing it during the day, then there's plentiful amount, but as soon as night hits, then they have to go searching for their thing, or I don't know. Do they
I feel
consume human flesh? Like, do they eat us?
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like if these animals are being controlled by the whatever, the corn, let's just call it corn for now, but who knows what it ends up being. If they're being controlled by the corn in the day, that unless the corn is telling them to go hunt, presumably at night they're fucking starving, right?
Mm.
And also at night, like what's around to eat, right? Like you know, I feel like so much the environment has been like totaled by this corn, right? So like excuse me, the normal things that these different animals, which we haven't exactly decided yet, would eat might not be around. And so like, yeah, they could totally be packs of dogs that just like feast on whatever they can get their hands on, or like, I don't know, like, yeah, what do you guys think?
yeah, I do like the idea that like it becomes like activated at a certain time. I think that I do think that that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It adds cool pressure, right? Like
Yeah,
you're just
Like,
like,
there's a
on the
time
setting, and you're
where-
like, you gotta get like, you know, like
Or
that
that kind of
classic
reminds me
horror
of
film.
I Am Legend, where like those things
Oh.
can't come out until like 6 o'clock when the
Oh.
UV light is just down enough, then they can come out. But when there's UV light or whatever, they have to like hide in shade, so they can't be like in the sun.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so it sounds like maybe what's happening here, and this is kind of cool. This is like a very interesting idea, is that during the day, these plants control whatever creatures they manage to infect, right? And it sounds like only creatures that have like a special kind of respiratory system can be infected, right? And then maybe a whole bunch of creatures on Earth just died out because this corn killed so many things, right?
Yeah.
and then at night the corn sort of releases its hold, and then all of these things just sort of struggle to survive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they might, who knows what they might do, right? Like, and so that also leaves interesting space for like your brother who got infected. Like during the day he disappears, but at night you might find him somewhere and you could even talk to him or something, but you only have till morning to talk to him, because when morning
Wow.
comes he gets like taken by the corn again.
Oh.
That's pretty sick.
I like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I like that idea too.
And are we going with like the what Taylor said, like the cordyceps, like in ants, where it like comes out of their body and slowly starts
So
like
I don't know much about that, so tell me about that.
it's some type of like I think it's just some type of fungus or some type of parasite actually.
Yeah.
It's like a cordyceps, and it just enters the ant's body, and it causes them to walk up to like the tree, like a tree, something far up in the air, and like something comes out of its head and sprouts out, and it releases like spores and stuff into the air and passes it along.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it just,
that sounds like
it doesn't make them
exactly
aggressive,
it would happen, right?
but like but like it's slowly, and like other ants can like see that like that one's like all messed up,
Can you
so
see?
they like stay clear of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty brutal actually. It's disgusting.
Yeah. So I feel like have you guys ever seen what's the name of the show? God, I wish this wasn't happening to me right now. The Expanse. Have you guys ever seen The Expanse? Have you ever seen the first season of Expanse? No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Never mind. There's like this alien takeover. Like there's like an alien disease that infects like this girl, and it basically like comes out of her in this way that we're sort of describing. But it seems to me that like I like the idea here that like the people that we lose to the corn, they might survive to the like, depending, because we don't know where they go in the day, right? Like there's a mystery where like they disappear, or and we don't follow them, or like they go maybe somewhere where we can't go, and we can decide what that is, where that is, or what that looks like. But I
Yeah.
feel like there's like a certain level of infection where you start spreading spores, so you can't be in the community anymore,
Mm.
right? And then like maybe there's eventually a level that like kills you, but I feel like it takes a long time, and maybe
Mm.
these people could like live out in the city for like years even, until they finally die of this infection. But like, you know, towards the end, like maybe they have like they're covered in whatever fungus or whatever plant we end up deciding this thing is, so that they're like half human, half plant.
I like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Cool. Yeah. And then probably they're like going increasingly crazy. Like, what is the effects of the spore? Like, if you've had the spore for 5 years, or had the spore for 10 years, or however long, you know, like, what does it do to your brain?
Oh jeez.
Plant stuff.
Stumped.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be plant stuff. Like, it could be like you get really horny, or like it could be like,
So,
Hmm.
do you,
You
know,
know,
about
like,
the
or-
cicadas?
I know about them because they ruined my life. Yes, I
Yeah.
know all about.
So there's 10 trillion cicadas about to emerge, and 10% of them have a fungus in them that cuts off their genitals but makes them super horny, so they hump everything. Like
Oh my
us. Like they're gonna come and they're gonna try hump you as soon as they emerge from the ground.
Okay, so
10%.
Oh no.
I will
That's
say though
Fasting.
that this sets us up for like a dangerous precedent where someone is trying to force sex on other characters in this thing, and maybe we don't want to go in that direction.
But there's other human urges that are similar to humping, like eating
Right.
or
Right. Okay.
good literature.
Or
Right.
just like,
I just thought this is my fun fact. We don't
Yeah.
have to
Whenever
hump
I feel like
everything.
humping, sometimes I just take out some nice Tolstoy, and that totally scratches my itch.
And sometimes
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're saying is that this thing simultaneously prevents you from like being satisfied, but also gives you some kind of urge that you definitely want to satisfy, right? So it's like, I want to hump, but I can't climax. So like, what would be a cool version of that we could incorporate into our world, right? Like it could be like I want to touch, you know, like I just can't get enough closeness, and like I just want to be,
But they
Oh.
can't. But they can't
or
feel.
it could be
any
body
of-
warmth or something, or like it could be.
Because plants love sun and warmth most of the time.
Mhm.
And if they're trying to spread spores at the same time.
I like the idea of warmth because it's like, oh, I miss you so much, Billy, and they're like, yeah, hug me, and
Yeah.
then they're like, you're like,
They-
Billy, you're choking me,
They
and
try
they're
to
like,
like get
go, Billy, and
inside
they're
your
just like,
body.
you know, and maybe there's even like a transfer of energy, you know, at that point where you start getting so cold or something, or like their touch is like icy on you and can even
Yeah.
burn you or something.
Yeah, it's like when you sit on like a big cement block and like the block's never getting warm, so it's always it like drain, or when you sleep on the forest floor and you need insulation between it because it
Yeah.
just like drains your, there's no way for you to
Yeah,
like
you
warm
had a
up that
pretty
patch
rough,
of
rough childhood there, Tay, sleeping on blocks.
sleeping on cement blocks. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so are we sticking to that? Is the idea that like
Yeah, I
is
like that a lot.
is it like warmth is the thing that these like, and they want to just like have warmth and they can't get enough of it? Is that the idea?
Mhm.
Or just
I
like
think that also
chronically
makes
cold?
sense is for sinuses, because if you have a sinus infection, you want warmth on your sinuses and stuff too to like drain it out. So that could just be a natural thing.
So I think like what's interesting about this is also like from like a visual perspective, the more advanced that a person has this thing, the more they like wrap themselves, and like the less and less of them we get to see. And so if they
Ooh.
ever reveal themselves, we can see like the extent to which,
Yeah.
and that
The
also means
form.
that like there's an ambiguity whenever we see someone on screen that's wrapped up, because we don't know if they're wrapped up because like they're just wrapped up, or if they're wrapped up because they're like freezing cold and they're like one of these people who wants to steal your warmth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
Or they, like,
true.
walk
Especially with
around.
if you're outside and people are wearing masks anyway to protect themselves from the spores, it's like you don't know if that
Mhm.
mask is, yeah.
You can't tell if they're. And
So
yeah.
so how do they steal your warmth? Like what does that look like? Like, is it through their hands? Do they kiss you? Do they hug you?
It's like
Do they
Dementor
take off
kiss
your
your
clothes?
warmth,
Like, what do they do to you?
I mean, Luke
Do they like does
Skywalker
something
cuts
grow
open
out of
the
them and
tauntaun,
enter you, or like?
Oh, you just try to get inside your body. Just try
Right?
to like fill
like the
your body.
tauntaun.
Yeah, and that's like the final stage, I feel like, is they just like
Start ripping people apart.
Oh
Yeah, they
shit.
just
They
go
get
for your
inside them.
guts, man.
So it sounds like they want to be inside of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
And it could start-
in a bad way.
It could start like just like a really like strong hug, and then eventually it's like
yeah, they
if-
put their fingers in your mouth, and you're like, what the?
yeah.
And then they're just like, ah.
Yeah, they try to like dig their way. So you have to
Their
like,
arm
yeah,
down
I think
your
that sounds so
throat or something
creepy.
like that.
Yeah, I'm so down with that. It's so weird and creepy.
That's
Amazing.
wild.
Okay, we're freaks. I don't know if anyone's gonna watch this. Okay, amazing. Okay, so
Okay.
let's talk about like, so it sounds like we're pinning it down slowly. Let's
Mhm.
talk about what are the stages of like this viral infection or spore infection? Like what is like I just got this thing look like, or does it not look like anything?
it sounds like
Headaches?
a common cold to me. Like you have the chills, you have a sinus problem going on, like just
Like
a light
allergies?
sneeze, yeah.
Like you're itchy,
Mhm.
you have really bad headaches. You
Because whatever it is, right? Like the community is deathly scared of like these
Mm.
spores getting into wherever we end up deciding these people are, right? So
Mhm.
like I feel like people who come in from outside are probably watched, right? Like
Uh-huh.
they're on like some kind of a watch
Mm.
list to see like if they're manifesting this thing, right? And maybe we can make it so that this thing manifests, like, you know how like all diseases look like a certain way for most people, but for some people they have like some different thing. It's like if I get a cold, I get a rash, but like
Yeah.
nobody else
Oh.
does, but I'm just weird and I have a weird freaky rash. So maybe there's like a main effect, and then maybe there's like weird people where their effect isn't the same. And so, you know, people have all these like rumors about what, like, you know, like, oh, if their ankle, if they keep moving their ankle or something, you know, that means it's
Mm.
infected them. And like, you know, there's
Oh.
like weird rumors and like lies and like about like other ways.
Misinformation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So someone might come in with something and be accused, right?
Mm.
They just have like a regular like tick or something, and then it's like,
Yeah,
oh, no, like,
exactly.
that's the spore.
So it sounds like what we're saying is that it's going to be like a regular cold. Is that right?
I think that's stage one for sure.
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
regular cold.
Regular cold. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And it sounds like we're also establishing that it might be something different for somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. What about so if that's the case, right? If someone has stage 1, what does the community do? Is that we go straight to like taking out the sinuses? Is that it?
I think they observe it probably to see if it's maybe a cold or if it's actually an infection. Like if
Maybe they have neti pots.
yeah, maybe they try to drain it out somehow. Maybe
Yeah, I
there's,
mean
like,
that's
steps
totally
to take
legit. But I feel like
before
a post-apocalyptic
remove the
neti pot would be like way more hardcore. It would
Yeah,
be
like-
like filled with boiling water or something, or like
yeah. Something that
It's a
like
general
totally
inside
destroys
of
your
your,
like
sinuses.
gasoline, and then they throw like a match in your fucking nose or something.
Jesus.
Oh my
Or,
god.
like, yeah,
Salt
you
is
you have to,
very
like, put, like,
effective
a-
against plants. Salt, so maybe it's like really, and salt water like sucks when it goes in your sinuses.
You have to
I
like
don't know.
snort a bunch of salt water.
Yeah, something
Oh.
like that. Because
I
that'll
feel
like
like we could do better than salt water, guys.
Yeah, let's do
it's
something
pretty
like
rough, I don't know.
like rubbing alcohol or like I
Maybe
don't
I just
know.
have-
Alcohol
what if you have
or
to, like,
vinegar is also good.
Vinegar.
To get
Oh,
plants.
shoot.
Yeah.
Vinegar.
Ow.
Yeah,
Could be like some sort of an antiseptic or
or it
like,
could even just be like a pesticide, right?
oh yeah.
Oh.
Just like straight up, like we pour pesticide down your fucking nose.
Oh shit. Damn, yeah.
And there's well that makes sense, right? Like in this world, I feel like people stockpile like weed killer or whatever, right?
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course,
Probably, yeah, actually.
Right. So like they probably have like it sounds like like herbicide would be like holy water around this place, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So are we saying
Dang.
herbicide neti pot?
Yeah.
Okay, God, that sounds so horrible. Okay, amazing.
Terrible.
Okay, cool. So great.
I
So
mean, that
after
also opens up like an industry too, though, of like making pesticides.
Yeah.
totally, and
That.
it also opens up an industry of people selling fake shit that doesn't work, right?
Yeah. Or like natural remedies, like I was saying, like yeah, you can kill plants with salt or vinegar. So there's like that community.
Yeah,
that's like, "No, we
exactly,
just
totally,
Salt
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, like we don't want to waste our herbicide, so we don't have that much. So we're just gonna boil up, I don't know, like these carrots and
Yeah.
mulch them and squirt them up your nose, and then you're like twice as infected and like have carrot in your eyes. Um, okay, amazing. So cool. So after stage 1, then is that the next thing where if that doesn't work, is that when people try to take the sinuses out?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think at that point it's like there's like visible swelling on the surface of your skin, like where your sinuses are. It's like it puffs out.
Does it have like a shape or like a face, like you have a butterfly on your face?
Yeah,
or is
'cause
this
Your sinuses are like that and then right there too, I think.
Oh God, I would love to rub my sinuses right now.
So it would be like this. It would kind of be like a butterfly, actually. It'd be like a wing down, 2 sets of wings down here, and then 2 sets of wings up here.
right? Or like a dragonfly or like a moth or something.
Mm.
Like maybe
if
that
it
could be
was
we could tie
dates
that
too?
into the name of the disease or something.
Yeah.
Mothra.
Maybe not Mothra.
I just keep doing copyrighted things, don't I?
Yeah, exactly. We're just gonna have to
Here's
mute
the
you.
Here's the sinuses. I'm showing you on my iPad. I should just
I just
enable
look good.
screen sharing or something, but that's what your sinuses look like.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
It looks like almost like yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does look like a moth or something, right? Or like a flower even.
Yeah.
ooh.
Oh,
And then your
what if
eyes
it's,
swell
like,
too?
bursts with spores or something. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, I think eventually it might just something might grow out of your sinuses, right? And then
Yeah.
eventually it might even just break out of your face, right?
Yeah.
Which is like creepy and horrible.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. So it sounds like there's some kind of like in order to get rid of this thing, it sounds like they just like break through your skull here and here and then just like I don't know, herbicide you or something and hopefully you
Mhm.
survive and then you have like you're like totally disfigured for the rest of your life, clearly, right?
Yeah.
Who does that? Is there like a special group of people? Can anyone do this? It sounds like it would be a specialist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also sounds like that person wouldn't be allowed outside
Yeah, because they're so
because if that
important.
person got infected, right? Everyone would be fucked. Is this
Hmm.
like a religious thing? Or is this just like a doctor thing?
I think it's kind of like a doctor thing.
Okay, I'm into that.
What's like a
Yeah.
name of a? Mm.
We could play with ideas, like maybe over email, guys. We could
Mhm.
like send ideas for like the name of this cool name of this disease, because I feel like that's something we want to make really evocative and not just
Yeah.
like off the top of our heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have some ideas there. Um, okay, so you get your sinuses busted out, and then if you survive, you're still in the community. Otherwise, it sounds like you probably would die, right?
Hmm.
Which sucks. Also, I wonder what the death rate is of this thing, of like this surgery, and I wonder if like if
Is there a
people sometimes
cost?
choose not to do it, right? They're like,
Wow.
well, I just want my son to live in the outland or whatever we call it.
Yeah. It could be, now that I think about it, it could be cool if it is a religion thing and then it's kind of like you're being tested or something. Like you're being judged in this ceremony, and then if you survive, then you like deserved to live or something like that. And then if you die, then you were like you sinned too much or something like that.
Also, what about this? Like, because it sounds like if you survive this, it sounds like you become immune to the thing, right?
Oh
Because it
yeah.
can't,
True.
right?
Well,
So
that
like
makes
then
me
you could go
wonder.
outside without a mask or whatever, right?
Hmm.
It makes me wonder if there's a cost and it's like an elite thing, and then there's a whole bunch of like backyard operations of it, but you have to
Oh,
like
yeah.
have a certain amount of money to like do it. Otherwise, you're kind of fucked.
Hmm.
I don't know.
It sounds like what you're saying is like that whoever these people are that do this, like keep it secret or like don't say how to do it and monopolize the ability to do this,
Mhm.
and you have to trade like a bunch of money or like you have to sell yourself into slavery or whatever it
Something,
happens to
yeah.
be
Mm.
to like get
Especially if
this
you're
thing,
like immune after and you can do certain things for them
right?
that
You
they
could just
wouldn't be
live in
able
the
to.
world, right?
It
Yeah,
just
that's
feels like that
interesting.
much power and that much of like an ability in apocalypse scenario, someone would try to profit off that. And it might be also like a religious thing, right? Like the only
Totally.
way you get to do it is like tithing a certain amount and then being part of our
Right.
thing.
I
Right.
also feel like those people, like, they also might like become sort of like freaks of their community, and then they might just leave the community and start their own like community out
Oh,
in the
yeah.
world. You
So
know what I mean?
true. Yeah.
Right? And they
Oh,
could have their own like ex like inside people, and they live out in the wild, and like maybe they like start their own culture and have their own ideas about
Mhm.
the world.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it sounds like they could even be a threat, right? Like it
Yeah.
sounds like they're just like, like we don't have to live under your rules. Like we're gonna do our own thing, right?
We can do
Mm-hmm.
whatever, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking cool. I'm
Yeah.
totally in.
That's super cool.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll just
Yeah.
be back in 1 minute. Sorry.
Yeah, sure. No worries,
Sorry.
brother. Okay. So cool. So how do you keep the spores out?
Of the community?
Yeah, like because these things are tiny, right? Like they're
Yeah.
literally maybe microscopic or something, right? So like there needs to be some pretty elaborate thing to do to like clean yourself so that you can get back into this wherever this place is and not spread these spores.
Salt water. Gonna keep it out there.
We wouldn't want to
Maybe someone
incorporate the
will
salt
like
water. No, but that's interesting. Like maybe there is like,
a cleaning.
like maybe there's something you have to swim through. Like you have to get naked and swim through something and you come up on the other side in the community, right?
And there's
Yeah.
like outdoor and inside clothes. Like you do have to change, I would say, just to like. It's like we had bed bugs for a while, and you literally had like you would change your clothes before you came into the house and when you left because you didn't want it to cross over.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, swimming, like going underwater or something makes a lot of sense because that seems like it would,
What if
like,
what if there was like an old subway system and that had been flooded, and the community was able to put like some kind of chemical in it or something, or just naturally it was too polluted for the plants to drink it, and so there's no plants in this one subway system like where there are pockets of air, and so you have to swim down like through the entrance of the subway system down to where it is high enough where there's no water, and then maybe like the community's like floating, maybe it's
I mean, it could just be in a subway system that's like, like you blocked off or you just like all the surface entrances and you
Mm.
just live the subway thing and like but yeah, I mean, like some subways have like multiple levels or like the track level and then there's like a level higher, right? And so like track level is like flooded and like the next level up is like not maybe, and then maybe like all the surface entrances are like crazy barricaded, so
Yeah.
like no air or anything gets through in some way,
Mm-hmm.
and then basically just have to go down to like track level and swim. And it sounds like, so is this like a scuba gear thing, or is this just like
You
I
just have
can
to
hold
hold
my,
your breath.
or like you have to swim to like another train? I guess you wouldn't
Oh.
necessarily have to, if there's like an access port or something, or like if there's a cave in, maybe you don't have to go as far,
True.
right? But like if you had some way of going underwater, you could like literally ride the subway, right, to different points in the city and then come up.
Mm.
And like maybe even different communities live at different subway stops,
Yeah.
That's a
right?
good
Like
one.
everybody, like every subway stop is a community,
Yeah.
you know? And then we can even choose a city and then be like, cool, Shibuya, you know, there's this community and like
That would
whatever,
be
right?
so cool. Yeah. Okay, sick.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah, do we like that idea?
That's pretty
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah.
I heard some of it, but yes.
Whatever you
Yes.
said. Yeah. Yeah, we were just talking about how your character is gonna not be able to go anywhere.
That's fine. I don't know.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, just making sure. Okay, so cool. So we live in the subway. The surface entrances are locked off. It sounds like we swim some part of the way, and we have some way of getting to the surface. Maybe there's like hatches or something,
Mm.
or like sewers, or like something that allows us. And it doesn't sound like we're actually able to like swim all the way to these other communities, because that's like a subway stop is like, you know, a few blocks. I like maybe there's like a couple people or like one person
Yeah.
that could actually hold their breath and do it.
Oh, I was gonna say like maybe like it's in the future. We planned for this. That maybe there is like some kind of boating thing where they even like it skids above water and they like drag you along or something. I don't know. Some
Well,
kind
that,
of
but
like
so I
underwater.
was picturing it as being totally flooded, right? So
Yeah.
there's no surface of water, so that you couldn't be riding up it. Like it's all underwater is what I had
Yeah, but I
pictured.
wonder if there is like some kind of contraption or something that can bring people.
Right. So the reason that I like the idea of not being able to, or it's hard, is because that forces you guys to go to the surface.
Yeah.
The surfaces we're sort of establishing
Yeah,
as being dangerous, and like giving you this easy out of transferring between communities without, you know, without like having to go to the surface.
Yeah.
Is the thing. But on the other hand, I just thought that maybe we could make it that like maybe the communities are not happy with each other, right?
Yeah.
And like maybe there's even underwater fights or something like between stops to like keep people from like, you know, injecting spores in your community, or like, you know, what do you guys think? Like, would you prefer if it was maybe some of the communities are trading with each other, and it's not that easy to get underwater to the other community and you have to go on the surface? Or is this more like you can move easily between communities, but there's some other danger that makes that thing like also problematic?
I like having to go to the surface.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
and interact with the environment up there if you need to.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything scary in the water?
I want sea monsters or something. Rats.
Water rats.
Rats love to swim. Big rats.
do they? Okay.
Big swimming rats.
Big
Are
swimming
rats,
rats.
like,
Big
dangerous?
swimming rats. Big swimming rats. I think so. They'd eat you, I bet.
Yeah, rats
these
will
are like-
bite you to death. Like if you ever got stuck in the water, maybe they just go when they get you.
Wait, so did they develop like a way to?
Yeah, they're aquatic rats. Yeah.
They're aquatic rats.
Hmm.
Sorry.
I mean,
Can't
It could
rats
be
like
w-
swim up pipes and stuff though?
okay, well here's okay, so this is interesting, right?
Okay.
Like if we do like this setting in New York City, or if we do it like anywhere on the ocean, and we're establishing right now that there's somewhat flooding, right?
That would also-
Maybe like, and maybe the sea creatures like survive this, right? Because it sounds like the sea might have been okay, or like not as deeply as affected by this this environmental collapse.
Mhm.
And so like maybe like sea creatures can, like
Like
any kind of sea creature
Squids
can,
and shit.
you know, like you jump in one day
Tuna.
and there's like friendly dolphins that like, you know,
You ride 'em.
and take you to your next spot, and then like the next day you jump in and there's like a fucking octopus
Yeah.
that just like wraps
Mm.
its tentacles around you, you know?
That'd be super cool.
Woof.
Yeah. And you know, and there could be rats too. I don't want to disappoint anybody.
I need those rats, man.
I'm just not sure what the rats
There's
are doing,
definitely
like,
rats
right?
around.
Okay, I mean, there's
There's
definitely
some.
rats around. That's for sure.
Yay.
Yeah.
We don't even
That's
have to
definitely
talk
the last.
about them. We
Okay.
know they're there.
So it sounds like we're establishing that the subway tunnels are open to the sea, and that occasionally some creatures can get in, and that could be a dangerous thing, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So now, if the sea is around and you can hunt and fish and get whatever, it sounds like there's a source of food,
Mhm.
right? Um, what I guess water might be dangerous because like spores could be in the water.
Mhm.
And so like maybe you have to evaporate the water or something, like you have to distill it in order
Mhm.
to pure water to keep the
Mhm.
spores out of it. So is this like we have to distill seawater? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is interesting, right?
That would
Because
make it way more scarce. Yeah.
yeah, so distilling water either requires you to have electricity, so you do electrolysis, I think is what it is. So you run a current and you split it up into hydrogen and water, which would totally sorry, it would split it up to hydrogen, oxygen, and then you could bang them together to make pure water, and so all the spores would fall out of it. You could do that, but then you would have this incredibly explosive hydrogen kicking around, right? Or you
Mm.
could distill it, which means that you would just like heat it up, let it become a vapor.
Add
Presumably the
salt.
spores would add salt, yeah. The spores would stay at
Sorry.
the bottom, right? And then you would distill the water. But the side effect of that would be that unless you have some really clean burning fuel, you would be producing like toxic smoke or whatever, which normally isn't an issue if you're living above ground. But if you're living off in like a hermetically sealed room, right, which is what we've established it has to be, right, to keep these spores out,
Mhm.
you're going to run out of oxygen. So like finding some way to get air into this place and making sure that it's not filled with spores is a problem. And then if you're burning anything underground, that's like combustion requires air, right? So you're removing your air source, right? So we have to figure out how these hermetically sealed underground stations are a getting air that's clean to them, and b, if we are distilling, where that's happening, because it sounds like it would have to be happening above ground
Yeah.
Oh, true.
In the danger zone.
in the danger zone,
Oh.
which would add a whole nother element, right? Because like you're like, oh, it's daytime, let's all go underground, and then you
Mhm.
go up and you're like, fuck, our shit is fucked, right?
And the-
Yeah.
And like maybe even other communities could be stealing from each other,
Yeah.
like their things, right?
Yeah, so
Is that what?
special people who go up to like collect the water and stuff and make sure that it's brought down.
Right, and maybe it's even hidden, right? Like maybe, because people sell out, like they're like, because I'm sure somebody would be like, oh, I'll throw you like this amount of barter if you just tell us where your community.
Mhm.
And if you're like an ostracized person, you'll be like totally,
Yeah.
and then you'll sell out where it is, and those people come in the day, steal your shit, and the whole. And so maybe there's just like a few people that know where this thing is, and they're like the water bearers or like whatever,
Cool. Yeah.
and they're the ones who like keep track of where it is. But that also, of course, puts them in this like incredible position. And also, like, if the few people that know die, then nobody knows where it is, and everyone's fucked, right?
Yeah.
I think that's so interesting.
Yeah.
That's
Let's do
super
that.
cool.
That's super cool.
So-
And then
so it
also
sounds
if they're burning it up in nighttime, that makes them so much more visible to predators as well.
Ooh,
Yeah.
totally right.
like the rats.
Like the
Like the
rats. The rats and the bats.
The salt rats
And the cats.
The rats and salt. That's all I've got.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
get
Yay.
spores, you turn into a rat,
Yeah.
a giant rat.
A swimming rat. Yeah.
A giant swimming rat.
Yeah, flying rat, a
Flying
swimming
swimming.
rat, flying aquatic and aeronautic rat.
Oh my
Amazing.
god.
Okay.
Rats.
Cool. I'm really enjoying this world. It's real sick. Okay. Great. So now we have to figure out how is it that these underground communities like get a source of air that isn't tainted with spores.
Mhm.
That's a tough one.
Maybe-
and go ahead.
Maybe there's like a moss or something that filters the air, and so if they collect this moss and then pack it into the sealed off areas, air can still get through, but the spores don't. And so this is moss is like coveted.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
And so like
holy.
if this moss is
Installation.
dying, or like if anything is wrong with this moss, then like everyone can get fucked.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Super
I
good.
feel like it wouldn't be moss because moss requires like light, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
It would
okay.
have to be like fungus or something, right? It would
We
have
love
to
a
be like,
fungus.
A different fungus.
or like a lichen or
And I
something.
mean, if it
Lichen.
is super wet everywhere, it sounds like it's wet everywhere. That wouldn't be the hardest thing.
Right. No, that makes total
Required.
sense,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So it sounds like there's like some like like fungus essentially that
Mhm.
grows like a black mold or something, you know, but not black mold obviously. That you like we've planted and sort of has sealed over and maybe feeds on these spores or something in some way.
Ooh.
And it sort of like protects the community from the spores. Is that the idea?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like
And
that.
it sounds like also keeping this like fungus alive is like critical, right?
Yeah.
'Cause as soon as anything goes wrong with this fungus, like everyone's fucked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to be there's probably some very special role of somebody to do this, and like maybe there's even like weird mold fortune tellers who are like the mold is not happy like this or whatever it is, right?
not happy.
Love that.
Yeah, okay, amazing, that's so cool.
Cool.
Okay, so what's like the what is community life? Actually, maybe we should take a break here. It sounds like we've like reached a natural
Ooh.
break.
Actually, that's
Yeah.
good. I have to go. I have to switch my angle. My computer's
Switch
on
your
the
angle,
phone.
buddy. Yeah.
My angles
Right,
are
go
on.
ahead.
Your angles are your beautiful angles. Great. So let's take a 10-minute break, everybody. We'll see you soon. Stick
Sounds good.
around for more Thousand Faces TV. We'll be right back.